Guys, welcome to my first video about VSpread. In this video we're going to cover two topics. Firstly, what is VSpread, and secondly we're going to install it. You'll see from this page, hopefully you're looking at this forum post, there's three sections: basic, intermediate, advanced features. Different people are going to want different things from this sheet. I wanted to do lots and lots and lots, so I built lots and lots. But not everybody wants to use all the features that I want. So I've built an absolute basic level, which is just look at your players, tell you what to train them in, or advise you what to train them in. And that's all that I'm going to cover today. Later videos I'll do intermediate and basic level. So what is VSpread? Basically, the way that I'd like to try and run my team is I have a series of players in the senior team. They're all various ages, and I have a youth player approximately 8 birthdays behind, and I want that youth player to be as good as or better than the player when they reach the senior player's age. So if you've got a 23-year-old with 300 stats, and you've got a 15-year-old with, sorry, when I say stats I mean abilities. So you've got a 23-year-old with 300 ability total. You've got a 15-year-old in the same position with, say, 10. I need to know that he's going to accumulate 290 ability points by the time he reaches 23. And the way that I want to do that is to track his progress. In a nutshell, at an intermediate level, you record his start stats when you buy them. Each day it knows how many days he's been at the club, it knows how much ability gain he's had, it just averages it out. The most basic level, you just want to train your players. The sheet looks at the player's stats, it looks at what it feels the stats should be, how to redistribute them, and what areas to train to gain that that gain. There's a lot of people who say, well, if you trained him in this, that and the other, his training will suffer. Yes, that's a completely different argument altogether. What we're looking at are the player's weaker stats for use on the pitch. It's pointless having, well, not completely pointless, but a defender with high finishing, you don't need it because defenders aren't going to score goals. If your attackers have got low finishing, that's probably not going to be very good because they're just not going to score goals. They're up in front of the goal, couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo. So what it will not do is it will not help you to flip players. It won't tell you values of players. That's a completely different subject altogether. It'll tell you if he trains good, or if his training is good, sorry. But it won't tell you what he's worth. What he's actually worth is what someone else is prepared to buy him for. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the program, and it says to go down, there's a link there. Please install the link onto your default download directory. What you're going to do every now and again is you're going to download a data file. The sheet reads that data file in the same folder that the Excel spreadsheet is in. If it's in a different directory, it won't find it. So I download it into my default download directory. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to install the program, install the sheet. There we go, it's downloaded. Normally I would make, it's in my default directory, normally I would make a shortcut to it on my desktop so that I can find it. I'm not going to this time. So we fire that up. Obviously you need to be running Excel. I think you might have to have Excel 2013, I might be wrong. So it's going to give you a security warning. It's telling you that it's got macros. The macros operate the menu buttons. You don't have to enable content, but if you don't enable it, the macro buttons won't work, and what you'll have to do is unhide all these tabs at the bottom. Just enable content. You don't have to, but if I didn't hide the tabs up, you would just have lots and lots of them at the bottom. You'd be scrolling backwards and forwards to find the sheet that you want. What this does is you click on that one, it opens up that tab. You then click the main menu, it closes that tab and then goes to the main menu. If you didn't use the main menu, if you use the tabs, it's not a problem, it just opens up the tabs. So you can see we're beginning to fill the bottom up with lots and lots of tabs, and you can imagine if I had them all, it would just fill up too much. So I'm doing this just for demonstration purposes. So eventually, right, you just saw a screen there with my club name on it. That's just old data that I forgot to remove. It copies the data and it stores it to a sheet called raw data, and then it manipulates that data. So you go into player basic details, you're going to see it's blank. The reason it's blank is we don't have any active data, so we need to install the active data for the first time. And the way we do that is with this instruction. You go to your club page, or the page that you want to look at. You can select any club that you want, and then you add .json. That's some kind of data file, which is how the web page extracts the information. We're actually going to go direct to the source. Do you know what? I keep needing to tell everyone this. Round about here somewhere, where my cursor is now, every time I make a keystroke, it will come up. So I'm about to hit the left mouse button. Did you see it? I just pressed it 3 times. So if I do make a keystroke, you will see it there. You will know what you need to do various things. So I'm going to type .json, but I'm not going to hit return or enter. And I'm going to copy all of that, and then I'm going to copy it to the clipboard, and I just come out of that, and that's in your clipboard. Oops, you didn't see that. Didn't need to see that yet. Now you need to go to this website. You can open it. I've happened to already opened it. And what we're going to do, there we go. This is what you'll be presented with. This converts that .jsno file, which can't be read by Excel, to a CSV file which can be read by Excel. So I'm just going to paste that. I use Control and V. I know some people use the mouse button. And you don't press enter, it just automatically converts it for you. You can see the club name there. So that confirms we've got the right club. So all we do is we hit the download button, and that will come down. That will always be called result.csv. Yeah, we'll leave that at that for now. So if you go into your default directory, which I seem to have closed down by accident, you'll see now we've got the VSheet v2 and we've got result. Ignore this one, this is my copy of it, which obviously I'm using it myself. It wouldn't be any good if I didn't use it. So in the sheet we now press refresh data. What refresh data does is it copies all the information from result. If you're not very savvy with spreadsheets, ignore what I'm about to do. I'm just going to open that file, and you'll see this is what we've actually just downloaded. It looks very untidy, scruffy. A lot of the things you don't understand. It's all sized badly. I just saw, there we go, 1.43 plus E plus 0. Whatever. It's just difficult to work with. I've just closed that down. So what VSheet does is it just manipulates that data into something a little bit more presentable. Do you know what? I didn't even refresh the data. So you press refresh data. Actually, that's a good example. Like we see, we've got nothing there, and all that ugly file is now inside VSheet, and that looks a lot nicer, doesn't it? So to use it, this section that I've just highlighted, that's nothing new. I shouldn't need to explain that to you. Player's name, his position, his age, how many days until his next birthday, what nation he's from, his current value, his wage, his jersey number, and his rating. Now, you'll find that this is divided into two squads. You've got I call it senior squad and youth squad. You might want to call it A team, B team, first team, reserve team, whatever you like. Seniors need to be placed. Do you know what? Ignore what I've just said, because I'm teaching you how to use this at a basic level. I really apologise. So, this section, aptly named listed abilities. This is the abilities as it's written on the website. You will see whole numbers, as you well know. So if we look at who's the first player, that'll be my subkeeper. So he's got 0 for speed, 0 for acceleration, 0 for speed, 0 for acceleration. There you go. That's all it is. Nothing. That's just there purely for information. We've got his total stats. So he's got 12. Sorry, I say stats, I mean abilities. So if we go right to actual abilities, you'll see his speed's now changed. It's listed as 0 for speed. If you hover, it says progress 80%. What that means is his speed is 0.80 something. This gives you that exact figure. Acceleration, for example, I keep picking up the wrong one there. Right, 0 and 75%. So we know he's 0.75 something. He's actually 0.753. And all it does, it just gives you his actual abilities. So we can actually see he's got 4.458 more abilities than is actually listed. I'm thinking we can do something clever with that, but I'll be honest with you, I can't think what at the moment, so it just sits there displaying to you. If we go over to the right again, ideal abilities, we don't want our players, or maybe some of you do, we don't want our players to be exactly the same in everything, until he's obviously rated 100. So if he's got 100 abilities total, we don't want him to have 10 speed, 10 acceleration, 10 passing, 10 stamina, etc, etc. Depending on his position, we want certain stats to be higher than others. I'm feeling very cliched now. When I say keepers, they want to be a bit higher in the handling. Defenders, a little bit higher in tackling perhaps. Midfielders, attackers, they all want different sets of stat percentages. So you want 3% in leadership perhaps, and you might want 5% in aerial, or whatever. It's up to you. In another video I will show you how to change the defaults, but for now the defaults do what you can see on the screen. You can sit there with a calculator and work them all out if you want, but this tells you what we want the player to become. The next screen is the difference. It's the difference between what we would like his ability to be and what it actually is. If his actual ability is higher than we want, it ignores it, because we don't want to train it because it's too high. If his actual ability is lower, it tells you the difference between what it is and what we'd like it to become. So on this first player, we want to just push 0.187 stats onto abilities onto speed, 0.069 on acceleration, blah blah blah, etc. Now obviously if you were to put 0.187 onto his speed, his total abilities goes up, and because it's all worked on a percentage, it will probably come back and say, oh, we want another 0.050 on speed, but all of the figures change. They're all relative to each other, but this is the way that it works. If you want handling to be X% better than one-on-one, and then you add a little bit to one-on-one, then the percentage is a little bit lower. So then it's going to say, well, we want a bit more handling. And you might put too much handling on, so then it's going to say, well, we want a bit more one-on-one. But that, in effect, might change the diving. So the percentages are constantly changing. This is why I like my computer to work it all out for me. The next screen can be ignored. I'll give you that as a bonus towards the end of the video. So remember these differences. We're going to come out now. We're going to go into training advice. Now this part I've already explained. Training advisor, sorry, that's not the first. Right, training needs is absolutely identical to difference. This is just telling, this screen is just telling you, well, basic player details. That's just telling you what the player has got, and how we want to alter it. Training advice, it tells you how to go about doing it. And the way it does it is, right, so there's that player again. He wants 0.187 in speed, 0.069 in acceleration. It needs to convert those abilities into routines. Now, you'll get a routine and it will target one area that is needed, but as a byproduct it will target another area where it doesn't need anything. The way it works out how to calculate is it averages. So I'll be honest with you, I can't remember the routines, what they target, because I've written them all into the spreadsheet and it does it all for me. I don't need to learn it. But let's just say, let's make a routine up. Running in the park. It targets speed, acceleration and passing. What it's going to do is it's going to take those three shortfalls, so 5.797, 5.730 and 0, and it's going to average those out. So that comes out at about 11.4. We'll call that 12 just for argument's sake, and it's going to give you a score of 4 for running in the park. The next routine will then calculate, say that routine, and it will average them out. However, there is a people call it broken. The training is broken. Use whatever word you like. If your player trains at 5 under the old training, 5.00, if you train him in one routine, you might get 1.5 points worth of ability increases. If you train him in a different routine, you might get half ability. Another one you might get 4, etc, etc. It does weight the training needs according to how many ability points it actually gives, and I will explain that later. The best example, we'll take this top player. He needs abilities in 4 areas, and those 4 areas, they total 41.937. If all training routines gave the same amount of increase, then that would average 4.193 for training match, since training match targets 10 areas. It actually gives 5.032. Did I say that right? Yeah, 41.937. Divide that by 10, so it's an average of 4.194, and it actually gives 5.032. Now the areas that aerobic targets, and then weighting that with how many points you actually gain for the train, that comes out at 12.906, etc, etc, etc. And then this column just tells you which one is needed the most. So in the case of this particular player, defending is needed the most, so it tells you defending. I will come back to that in a second. Now you have a yellow box there. This is just a sort and filter. I have 25 players. I'm carrying 23 at the moment because I've just sacked 2 players. So I'll sign some up later on. If you're like me, if you do untrained youths, you want to train them on the same day that you buy them to get that extra training. I've already trained today, so I'll sign them after 11 o'clock. But if you've got 25 players, to go and do your routines, you need to change all your players. This is the bit that every single one of us does, whether we use a V sheet or not. Train, change routines. How many of you can remember 25 different instructions in your head at the same time? I know I can't. So what I want to do, I will filter that down. So I've got 2 goalkeepers. Excuse me. I will memorise those 2 routines. I will then change that to outfield players. This first column position, it just tells you whether they're a goalkeeper or an outfield player. This second column, I've put it as age. I mean squad or team or something. Senior is any player with a jersey number of 1 to 11. You see this guy here. He's 25 years old. He's a senior. He's jersey number 2. This chap is very young to be in my senior team. There we go. This guy's 20. I thought I had a 24-year-old or 23 who was a youth. Not to matter. Right, this guy's 21 and he's a youth. It's based purely on the jersey number. Look, 20. I forget that you get a yellow haze around my cursor. I don't get that yellow haze until I play it back. So I've done my goalkeepers. I've now got my outfield players. So I'm just gonna filter that down to my senior players, and then I'll sort this. And then I'll remember these players want to be put into defending, and let you see it highlighted on the side. So I'll put those 4 in. Then I'll come back to this. I'll do my set pieces. I'll do my technique. And then after I've done my senior players, I'll select my youth players and I'll sort this one again. What you may wish to do, you've got this 3rd column and you can type anything you want into this. This is for your reference. So you might want to call them, you might want that guy to be coached by coach 1, coach 2, coach 3. I'm just going to cheat and I'm just going to, oh, too many. Right, so what you can now do is you can filter that down even further. That's only if you want to. Personally, I find that by separating them into senior and youth and then just ordering this A to Z, that does the job for me. Now, this is only advice, this section there. Free little tip. I don't know if everybody knows this, and I hope no one's angry about me giving this information away. For an outfield player, people say defending isn't worth it. Defending offers, if I get these figures wrong, they're not going to be too far out. For every 5 points of train, you gain 0.72 ability points in defending. But if you get 5 points and you've trained in technique, you get 0.54 in defending, and you get 0.54 in 2 other areas as well, which makes a total of 1.62. So you actually gain more than twice the ability point gain for using technique than you do for defending, and you target the area that defending targets. So I personally, if it says defending, I personally would put them in technique. If you want to put him in defending, that's fine. He needs points in defending. I could change the system so that it tells you that. The reason I haven't is that in about three or so weeks, they're going to fix the training. It's all going to change. I have theories on how it's going to change. So I've created the way the calculations are done, they can be changed easily, so that when the new training comes out, rather than you guys going, oh well, I've been using this V sheet and now it doesn't work because the training's not done, the training's changed, I can say new training came out at 6 o'clock this morning, it's now 8 o'clock this morning, and here you go, here's the new version. So anyway, I've waffled now. That's the basic usage, that's all there is to it. And then I'll go over this on another video. But if your data changes, let's say for example you've bought a player or you've sold a player, you can't train a player, you want to train this new player, you need to re-import this data again. Now if you were to download this data again, I've just downloaded it. Because the file already exists in the default download directory, it downloads it as result brackets 1. Well, Excel won't pick that sheet up. The simplest way to do it is just to go into your default directory, remove the result file, just delete, and then you need to pull the data down fresh. So I keep this tab open all day long, because what I'll do is I'll just highlight that, I'll copy it, I'll reload the page, and then I'll paste the URL back in. As I say, I will go through all of this again in another video. But until that video comes out, you might want to know how to update the data again. So when it pops up with my club name, there we go, Sky Blue Pink Chicks. I download that. There we go, I accidentally downloaded it twice, but that's okay because I've got result and I've just accidentally opened it, which I didn't want to do. So there's the ugly data again. So I'll get rid of that before I get confused. So we've got the new up to date. Obviously my date is not going to change because I haven't done anything to my team, but I'll still press refresh data and any changes will be reflected on here. And that's it, guys. So that's the installation and the basic usage covered. I know I promised you a bonus. You don't have to listen to this if you don't want to. The other day I heard I'm not going to call it a rumour because it came from an official source, but it's not been confirmed. Allegedly, and I say allegedly because I've not confirmed this yet. If you train a player in an area that's more than 15% over the average ability, you will lose 1% of training for every 3% that it's over. But it's for everything that it's over. So if you have a player whose tackling is 115% of the average, that's 118%. he's 18% above average, so he will actually lose 6% of his training in that area. I don't know if it's that area or if it's his total training. Perhaps a little bit unfair, because if he's 15% over, he has no penalty at all. If he's 18%, he gets penalised on the entire 18%. So by 3, he's penalised 6%. Now he's 3% over, 6%. Above it says 159. I'm concerned because my mouse has just stopped working. Does that mean my computer stopped working? Let me just press. Right, I'm going to count. Oh, there it is, it's catching up. I'm going to count to 10. Hopefully the pause button works. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Did that do anything? Now my computer's so slow it plays chase the mouse, and you go to the left to chase it, and then it carries on going, so you pull it down. Okay guys, this could be another video screwed up, unless I can video edit somehow. There we go. So yeah, that's about it. I'm sure some of you might want to discuss this now. Yeah, please don't say I bought. There we go. Right, okay, I'm trying to close this now, so I'm just finding things to say while I close it. There we go. We're nearly. Oh, we went to. Come on. That's interesting because the mouse is working, but the mouse button. No, there we are. It's just, that's how I pressed that about 30 seconds ago. So. Not responding. This is going to be hilarious to a lot of you. Right, okay, goodbye. Thank you very much.